Hey.
It's Friday. Welcome, my friends. Do you know thyself? That is, I guess, a main focus of why we're here. You know, what is the point of this journey? And it is ultimately to know thyself. Um, I said something in a comment the other day on a video that was like on one of my videos, I think, that was as above, so below, or as within, so without. And this lady said, as within, so without. And this lady said, "Are you a Wiccan or something, or a witch?" Or and well, of course, that's absurd to me, but it is understandable because the people have been taught that we should, as within, so without. And you know what I should do? Actually, a sound check just to make sure that people are actually able to hear us. Let's just check. I can see the comments here. Actually, let's pull that up. Hi guys. Hey, hippie shake. Had a
Liz.
bad flu and good to see you back. Hi Liz. Lovely to see you. Hey Glyph. It's Glyph here as well. Lovely to see you, brother. Run Boston Bear. Hey, brother. Wow, we've got quite a few of our Patreon in the room tonight, so I appreciate you guys and very much. And we've got a new Patreon. Michael joined the crew this last week, so appreciate that. Appreciate you, Four Jacks, for your last coffees. Speaking of coffees, I'm going to be on the street tomorrow from about 11 or 12 GMT. And if you're in, where am I going to be? Chelmsford. If you're in the
No,
Chelmsford.
Chelmsford.
No?
Essex, Cheltenham.
Cheltenham.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which is not
That's
the
a
other side of the
completely different.
country.
Yeah. Other side. Sorry. I'm going to be in Cheltenham tomorrow for a few hours on the street. It's a sunny day, and as Andrew will tell you, there's certain alignments coming into play right now that will make communication easier. So we'll see.
Well, Mercury's still in retrograde, so it doesn't mean that it's communication, but for you personally, Sagittarius is in your house of communication, and Sagittarius is the teacher, the learner, but the teacher as well. So it's a good day. But also, you're liking the 2-2 numbers, and tomorrow's the 22nd of the 11th, which is 222.
Yeah. Wow. 22 has been coming up so much for me in the last few weeks. It's like, wow, again. You look at the phone, it's got 22%. You look at the time, it's 3:22 or whatever.
It is a master number, isn't it? So
I just said 322. Is that the Skull and Bones number? I probably said that inadvertently. There might be someone else in the comments going, he's one of them. Anyway, it's all good. We are in an incredible, let's call it the spiritual, contract, the spiritual thing that's going on. Incredible. I mean, the stories that are coming out. I mean, I haven't seen anything about Trump in the last week. That's a blatant lie. You cannot miss, what the media are trying to push out. The stories about BBC being sued or Epstein or other things. And I think it's like a never-ending theater
or distraction.
Yeah, and they're distracting people, and we're like, oh, we're focused on their kind of thing. And I mean, of course, a lot of people have left behind what happened with COVID, and we're moving on to the next thing, and they just keep rattling the tin and distracting us until such time as other things have been brought into play.
Well, we spoke the other day. I've got quite a few transits that are really, really big for me right now. Besides going through menopause, so that's also a big death and rebirth. But I've been noticing my nervous system responses, particularly around freeze. And And so I did a little bit of research around the freeze response. And freeze obviously is something that happens when it's a dorsal vagal response. Now, I won't go into the detail of that right now. We can always talk about that in depth if people are interested. But that when you can't fight or flight, then you freeze. And if you think about so many things in the world right now where people feel powerless to fight or to flee, the natural response when you don't feel safe is to go into freeze response, which can look like collapse. It can look like depression. It can look like laziness. It can look like procrastination. It can look like isolation. Now, that being said, we've had a lot of Scorpion energy, which already makes us want to sort of retreat, and all the retrogrades. But to go back to the nervous system, that when the nervous system feels unsafe, and it will go into this freeze response. Not everybody will go into freeze. Some people go into fight or flight, but there are many that goes into freeze, and I think a lot more than realize. And part of that is when there's uncertainty. So really, if the world is kept in this ever uncertain, always on the cliff edge, always what's going to happen, but we don't know what's going to happen. And of course, the mind wants to know certainty so that it can control things, so it can protect you. And we have a whole lot of belief systems running anyway that play into that. And obviously also we have a nervous system that for a lot of us wasn't given the safety when we were younger to know how to go into dysregulation and then regulation. And it's not about not being in dysregulation. That's absolutely fine. It's how when we come out of it.
And we understand that we're in it. I mean,
yes.
That's the first thing, identifying that's a...
Obviously, when I talk about nervous system, really we can talk about a field as well, our field. And when we're younger, or when we're in our mother's womb, we're experiencing the mother's field or the mother's nervous system. So whatever your mother was feeling at the time, you will be experiencing. Then when you're very little, up until about 7, you can't co-regulate. I mean, you can't regulate your nervous system yourself. We rely on the field or the adults or the caretakers in the environment you're in to create a field or to co-regulate. And so this becomes your blueprint for regulation. This becomes your blueprint for your nervous system. And the mind hates uncertainty. It feels very unsafe. It wants to do things, and you've obviously learned things to try and keep those things. Can I preempt them, or if I worry about them, or...
Do you think that includes like watching the news or following the truther channels to see what's going to break next?
I think doom scrolling, by the way, all those sort of things to distract or disassociate are part of the freeze response. So you'll do things like doom scroll and sort of do anything to fill the space of what the nervous system is in that state that is really a collapse of the nervous system. And I mean, there's lots of things that we can do to help. I think freeze is a really difficult one. I think what then compounds that is the body sees it as unsafe, and therefore also starts to be in hypervigilance. It starts to respond like the immune system will respond because it thinks there's a threat. So you can imagine during the COVID times when they thought there was a clear and present danger, they couldn't fight, they couldn't flee, so they would have gone into freeze, and then the nervous system will respond by releasing mast cells, which will then, because there is a danger, and it needs to, our body-mind is always trying to ultimately protect us, but based on the past and based on things that we have been given meaning, and that can even be simply how your nervous system felt as a child in terms of safety and learning to co-regulate.
Awesome.
So awesome. Yeah, the world is like this. It's like, oh, you can look anywhere and find something that's like uncertain, finances, security, war, weather, cosmology stuff. You just name it.
I was looking at something today that made me feel a certain amount of like I don't want to say anger, but more like a without it, like a rage at the organizers of the world affairs. I know I say like you can't sharpen the steel. I had a great short chat with Steve Young, the PhD atomic physicist actually, and obviously geocentrist and doesn't believe in the atom, or doesn't, there's no evidence for the atom, and he's an ether guy, which is awesome. But where was I going with that?
You were raging. You were feeling rage towards the.
There is, however, this it seems this group being used to harm the human story, and so one does sometimes want to feel like, wow, shouldn't the action be to stop that? Now, it was a fleeting kind of thing, I'm not saying that that's, I'm going in a different direction. My direction is like, I know that the majority of mankind is, not seeing a lot of the deception at this time and in this lifetime, maybe. But if we become light, then we lighten the room and we help others go that way. I think war begets war.
But I think there's healthy rage. There's healthy rage because I think, let's just talk about the meaning that we have around rage and anger. It's one of those emotions that is being made to be unacceptable. We don't know how to have it in a healthy way. That's the fight response, right? We weren't able to complete that, or we weren't shown how to process it. And all emotions are important, and rage is that someone is crossing your boundary.
Well, the one that was crossing my boundary today, particularly, there was two really, but this one is to do with like, there's these COVID injured pages, people who've started a Facebook page for those who've been suddenly unalived or they're injured, and you read through, on one comment you read through like an hour of like people's testimonies and how dramatically lives were changed, and then in those same comments you've got people being abusive towards those people who are sharing their testimony of injury. So it's like, wow, we are, that's a point where you want to just kind of like, get people to stop and wake the heck up about this. It's so incredible that here we are 5 years later still having to debate or defend the fact that the whole thing ended up being.
Why do you think people project that onto? Why do you think their I mean, because I've told you, I've seen it with, there's a family who are, really fighting for their daughter's life in terms of cancer, and they are doing all the alternative treatments, and they get such mean things said to them. Why do you think people do that?
This lady had told her story. Her life has been changed, and this person in the comments said, so you shouldn't have done it. Like, what was it, the free hamburger that got you? Like,
but my question is,
the question is that I think obviously a person is feeling their own rage, and they are not wanting to accept. I know obviously some people get paid to bait, but there are loads and loads of people. In fact, a guy that I did some military activity with 6 years ago, 2014, 13, he and I actually went to the Canadian embassy and for a big Thai event and what have you. I remember having a photo with him and the Canadian flag. This is before I just started learning about 9/11 at this point. But he's 53 and was seriously bedridden, hospital-ridden for a few months during the old, putting people on ventilators affair. He died last week, and he had come out, and I'd seen him commenting on Facebook, and he was seemingly okay, and seemed fine. And then it turns out he has a heart attack.
But his lifestyle was not a healthy one.
This friend of mine writes that he thinks he never recovered from the COVID, and he's like, wow, we're still this far down the line, and people are still buying that story.
No, I think this goes back to the nervous system, right? And that his body was still fighting a war inside that meant and if you're not doing the work, whether that be mind, body, or soul, then eventually the body says no, and there's only so much that it can take, that it eventually will say no, I can't do it anymore. And a real compassion for that, but that's the truth. That it requires, I think what COVID should have been for all of us was an awakening to how our lives, mind, body, and soul were out of alignment.
Well, I like to think of it as an incremental thing, because we do think in human terms, and I want it to be over. I want the kind of like the big, finale, the final act. Let's see all of this stuff come down, right, in a way.
We're going through a death right now, Dave. That's not going to happen anytime soon. Anytime soon. As far as I can see, and I see Festivus. Nathan. I think 2026. Let me just tell you, it's not going away. This level of energetic push is not going to go away anytime soon, and it's just going to get louder and louder if you ignore the invitation. So,
actually, well, that's what I was going to say. Like Jolly Man, it's cost millions. Well, explain all the truth. No, it's all BS. Some people will buy it, but I think my conversation with Steve Young, and of course we met Andy Kaufman and Dawn Lester and a few others from this burgeoning health freedom movement that really, existed. Of course, people have been talking about the harms of the vaccination.
Well, I think Run Boston Bear was, a COVID time convert.
COVID convert. I've never used that term before.
But so I think
convert, that's CC Run Boston Bear. That's 33 in numerology.
I think that actually there's more invitations all the time to do another layer or to see another.
So what I was going to say is like it felt like an incremental kind of influx of people going, so Steve's a good example of it. And I was thinking about it earlier, how people in academia who had kind of got John Campbell, the nurse practitioner, the teacher that I follow. He's got millions of subscribers, and he was pushing the old needle like a heroin addict, and then realized that he'd made a grave mistake for himself and others. And now he's looking to do what he can, although obviously coming at it from a fairly, he hasn't broken through.
No, and he's still pleading to the system to change, and part of that is that we want them to change. I mean, for me, that's not going to happen, and there is a certain level of emotional grieving of the world that you thought was real. That has to go on, and that's the whole spectrum of emotions that goes with that.
So it takes a time for people to bounce out, but obviously people we've met in the last few years have bounced out quite quickly and gone, if this is flawed, then there's other things. A little bit like for me, it was like, well, if this is wrong, then this means that, and it was obviously I'd kind of still gone along with things, knowing about 9/11 for a year or so before I found Flat Earth. But it was like, well, if this is wrong, then I'm willing to question atoms, and I'm willing to question, a lot of the other stuff that I'd simply taken for granted.
But are they willing to question their own lives?
Well, this is surely what it has to come back to for all of us at the end of the road. Now, I saw your comment there, Hippie, about doom scrolling is just to depress everyone, and stay clear, I do not disagree with that at all. And I mean, in fact, the news is meant to be a little bit depressing as well, isn't it? And all gloom and doom, a lot of that. And it creates a sort of energy that people believe they have an enemy, right? In the invisible viruses and all this sort of thing, for example. But that's kind of like the trap for us who were, say, watching Netflix or whatever, and then we got into like truth seeking, and then it's like, oh no, like the end is coming. And I confess, Alex Jones, I watched 10 years ago, maybe, still thought that he was, legit. And I still, Andrew will tell you, I still watch this guy. I just pop in he does 10-minute videos every day.
He is funny though.
He is funny. And he's funny. Like,
he's not meaning to be funny. He's actually very serious.
Yeah, he's very serious. Today's the day. Go prep out, go get the stuff and what have you. And
make sure you've got, 10 days food.
The end is nigh. So I do watch him every day or two, just to kind of, because he brings together some of the kind of news stuff that people are seeing, and so for me, I feel maybe it's my addiction to knowing what's going on, but I feel like having a little bit of an insight as to where the narrative is going, because it gives you a sense of the pulse of the beast, but not in a way that it's like I need to see the next. I need to see the next story. I'm happy to often just I'll scroll past a headline and I know all I need to know about it and be like, okay, that's where that's at. I mean, the whole digital ID thing is, you could spend hours every day just trolling the whole digital ID thing. But
I think people will know this, that this is my angle, and I am glad that I've got Festivus in there because he will totally back me up on this. But we are in, we've had massive Scorpion energy, and we've still got a big one, which is the Mercury retrograde that is in Scorpio at the moment and will remain there until it leaves again on the 11th of December. And that's all about our thoughts and our communication, and it's wanting us to look at the patterns and go deep. We've still got Venus in Scorpio, and we've got 6 retrogrades. And in fact, 2 of them are 29 degrees. Now, 29 degrees, perhaps, Festivus, what this is called. It starts with an A, but when something is at 29 degrees, it is like a completion degree. And so Uranus has gone back into Taurus at 29 degrees, and that's a lot around money. And then Neptune has gone back into Pisces, where it was for 12 years, since 2011. Right. And Uranus was in Taurus from Anoretic. That's it.
He's good, this guy. I don't know who he is, but he should come on here sometime.
And Uranus was in Taurus since 2018, and so something wants to complete from that happened over either from 2011 or and certainly from 2018. And Uranus is it brings chaos to awaken, and Neptune brings illusion, but wants to dissolve, to bring us back. It's the dissolver, and incredibly powerful energies. And that's going to be all this weekend. Both of them are 29 degrees. And then we have all that Scorpion energy still. The sun, thankfully, is moving out of Scorpio tomorrow. So there's this real pull, and of course, if you're in the northern hemisphere and you're going through the winters and it's getting darker, and the trees are doing very clever. They are letting things die, but we are in a death portal. Things are dying, and that includes the matrix that lives in us. Those lies, or those programs, or those patterns, or those beliefs. It's the same as happening within, but we have to be willing to lean into it. We have to be willing to let go. And we've spoken about
this is why we end up doing all the scrolling rather than.
Well, it's not about it's about anything, right? It's not bad to go to the gym. It's not bad to do yoga. It's not bad to watch a bit of this and that. But if we're doing it, why are we doing it? Are we doing it because we are trying to? Hands up. The scrolling for me is totally a distraction. When my nervous system feels so overwhelmed with everything that's dying, and it's like I feel, and I have Scorpio in the 12th house, which is a really tricky house to have Scorpio, but it's like the liminal space. It's like the void. It's the threshold. In fact, I think collectively we are at a threshold. I think collectively we are in a liminal space. It's like we don't know what's coming, and that freaks the mind out, which is why the world is so loud. And why there's so much projection.
Yeah. Distracting us and thinking there's some, I see, even I sort of watch this guy, I watch occasionally this guy called Judge Napolitano, and, he's sort of he's like GB News for America, he's sort of alt news, but, you still think he's part of the project, not paperclip, Mockingbird. And, he's talking about, the possibility of nuke this and nuke that and so on. And I spoke to a physicist the other day. Did I tell you that? PhD is, and doctorate in atomic physics. He came out at the end of it and realized they're not really splitting no atoms. And nuclear fuel is really cheap, simple, and should be very available to us all.
Yeah, I see that. Christopher says, it's like the ads before the movie starts at the cinema for the next 7 years. We enter the new age and a brave new world. Absolutely.
Right. I like that. And that you mean the ads are going to run until like next year, and then we go into a 7-year cycle. I saw another kind.
It's a super karmic degree, which is balancing things out, the 29 degree. Right. Yeah. The sun is at 29 degrees today as well, which adds to it, but it's not going to be there tomorrow. It'll move.
Yeah.
Whereas Uranus and Neptune are very slow movers.
Okay. I think we've got some. We think it's going to be like hold on to your.
Festiva says early next year popcorn is required and God, and I think. This plays into the nervous system because I went and did some research on the nervous system, and the nervous system is that electrical system that actually, it's the vagus nerve. Thy rod and staff shall protect you all the days of your life. Comfort thee all the day long. It is our spiritual highway, and if it's in collapse or it's in fight or it's in flight, then we can't find that stillness. There's that other verse I told you about. Be still
and know
that I am God. And it's when the nervous system is able to be in stillness, which isn't when it's in dysregulation. It has to be in regulation to be able to be in stillness, because otherwise the mind is very busy. It's trying to figure it out. It's trying to control. It's trying to do all that stuff, which is what the scrolling is. It's like I need if I can just find out the answers, then I'll be okay.
And it's not only finding out, I mean, it's like a never-ending quest, isn't it? Eventually, Frodo comes home, doesn't he?
Well, is that the right reference? It's ironic. It's that whole saying of, if you find the bridge to the other side, then you'll be okay. But there is no bridge, and there is no other side. Yeah. That you are already worthy. You are already connected to God. Yeah. It's just our mind that tells us we're not. And of course, if you're your system is offline, then it's very hard to do that connection.
Yeah. It's nice to have connections with people, and I'll be doing an event called Elevate and Illuminate in September, which will be an opportunity to connect and actually see Steve Young again, because he'll be talking there too. So look out for Elevate and Illuminate. I will put some links on.
It's a UK event, just in case anybody's wondering. It's in September. I think it's
flying over.
It's a week before the Spain gathering.
A week before the Spain gathering, the Guru gathering, and 2 months after the Sounds Beautiful weekend. I think that's July, isn't it? So I really enjoy being being with people more than.
Actually, I think it's very healing for everybody to be with people.
I think we're meant to be.
Yeah, I think the isolation thing. Don't get me wrong. We have seasons. We have times where it's we need that personal space and that depth. A Scorpio, believe it or not, every year we feel the same thing, and it's that time where we go into the descent. The energy starts to go down, and it's necessary. So there are times when we need to isolate, but there are also times where connection is part of our vitality.
Indeed. I see a connection of our squirrel snipers in the house. The world you perceive is but the veil of form drawn across the face of the Absolute. Seek not to tear the veil, for its weave is the substance of your own mind. I like that, but isn't that what they were trying to do with that highest, hardest ceiling, is to tear the veil of this place? And the same, obviously, with, if I understand that very deep quote, I might need to cogitate, but if I understand it, Squirrel, they are saying, or you're saying that, we should embrace rather than to kind of get to the other side, find this bridge. We should embrace what it is we are. We are the expression of creation.
We are, but unfortunately, the mind, and this, for me, what I've learned, it's not about getting rid of. It's not about making something go away. It's actually the reclamation. It's our soul gets fractured, and it's about, and within those fractures are all the parts of ourselves that we say are not acceptable. And it's about returning them. It's about coming back to wholeness. It's about coming back to who you truly are, because the mind is telling you all sorts of things that are based on decisions or experiences you had in the past, and then it's entangled. Dave will bear witness. I'm moving through some, and I'm presuming that everybody is on some sort of level because of the energy that it's around, but I'm moving through some really old patterns and beliefs, and I'm able to now access emotion, particularly grief, that's very old, and I've been sort of controlling and hanging on to for 52 years, and it's that we have to alchemize and complete, so that we can return to our true essence, so that we're coming from the truth and not the veil of deception. It's a tough one, right? Let's be real. It's tough to look at yourself and go, there's this thing that's been running, and it's tough.
But not only that, but to kind of, for me, to recognize the divinity, to recognize the absolute.
In all of it.
Well,
all of it.
Well, you're right about that. Obviously, it's like these things are tests, and
totally.
We don't understand the divine. Even this guy who left now at 53 years old. I don't understand the divine, and even the numbers, the terrible numbers of people, the huge numbers of people that have suddenly shuffled off. I don't know what the heck is going on. Yes, I can see a boogeyman in the corner over there, but I have to find ways to engage like this world without becoming it, being party to it. Like John Campbell, I saw in the comments earlier, people were like saying about him, did he apologize? And I know he has apologized. And I can see the pain etched in his face when he realized, when he's talking about spike proteins and how they're in all parts of the body and how this is the process that's happening. He is actually, interestingly, living through and whilst I do respect him because he's actually living through the observation of the harm that he's done to himself. And yes, his like so many other well-meaning, well-indoctrinated people have pushed it on their families, friends, and their patients and so on.
I think we're all indoctrinated. I think we need to make that really.
Yes, I accept that. I accept that. And we don't know the level to which we're still.
There's many levels.
Doctored.
Many levels.
No argument with that. But he's now having to walk through his own revelation of what's going on within himself so he can tell other people what's going on in them.
And he's probably had to face a whole lot of his own trauma through it, which is why it's an awakening. And my sister's a perfect example of that. She's going through the same thing, and as a consequence, her health is on a cliff edge. But what is so divinely orchestrated is that it plays directly into a whole lot of trauma that she holds from when she was a baby, and her experience within the systemic medical system, and how much shame and helplessness and abandonment and trauma and harm that she experienced on her own, because trauma is not what happened to you, it's what happened inside of you, and that you weren't given the safety to experience it. And that certainly was the case for my sister. She was, I think, 6 to 8 months old. I can't remember the exact age, and she was left in a hospital when she was ill. And that was the system at the time. That's what parents did. You dropped your baby off and they took care of it, and you would come at visiting hours and visit your baby. Same as me. I was taken away at birth. This is systemic trauma. And it stays in your nervous system. And so everything that's happened to her now is triggering all of that old stuff too. So it's traumatic, but the second is that it's an opportunity.
A catalyst.
It's an opportunity, definitely.
Absolutely. And I think with Campbell and others, talking to Steve Young, I don't know him from before 5 years ago, or we only met recently, but there's a guy who went into one of the pinnacles of academia. We always joke about, or say, oh, it's not rocket science. Well, he was involved in science that could be considered to be at that level, and of course theoretical, but still, it's the ego. We know this from junior school. The gold stars are getting handed out, and then in high school, the little cups and awards for doing so well at academics. And then it's like, wow, you can go to a classy university, and now you've got like all sorts of letters and commendations, and you are, in this society, highly revered for that, and then people kind of will get stuck in that state of ego. And so it is a big man who can kind of go, you know what, I'm going to face down the entirety of my structure that I come from, and I'm going to eat the humble pie that says, whoa, I thought I was like, there was nothing you could teach me, but it turns out I know squat. And everything that I taught, although it has the baseline has like value because you can apply it in a geocentric inside of the world, but there's a lot to be kind of let go of.
I think it takes a lot of courage to be able to, especially publicly, say that you were wrong, because most of us are afraid of admitting we were wrong, or that we got it wrong, because it's a survival thing. You know, we see this in the truth community all the time, this wrong right thing, where, you know, Dave and I experience in our own relationship, where it's like when we're having an argument,
I'm never wrong,
where, you know, both of us need to be right, and it's something that we learn very young, that if we can be right, then that shame of wrongness, which I think a lot of us, I'd like to say most of us, but I'm not going to determine what your path is and what your experience is that, you know, we need to be right, because if we're right, then we will get to the pearly gates. You know, I'm using that, but, you know, that's certainly the societal flavor, right? Is that we need to be right, because if we're wrong, then that means punishment. That means annihilation. That means possibly not getting to heaven or going to hell, for that matter.
Getting it wrong, and I don't think we can get it wrong, really.
I mean, education has a big part to play in that. You know, at school, the whole premise is that you get it right, and if you get it wrong, certainly from my experience of education, there was so much humiliation and punishment and even isolation. You know, detention. Even the word detention is like, you got it wrong, so now you're going to be put in detention. There's so much loading around wrongness. So it's understandable why people want to be right and will hold on to that as protection.
Yeah.
But I think it is a sign of maturation when we can sit with how uncomfortable it feels at being wrong.
Yeah. And in a way, you know, the sense that I got from the Health Freedom Fraternity was that as their horizon widened, they encountered the information that even the globe science, a lot of it was theoretical, and so it wasn't a huge leap for them to go into that arena. And so what they do, because they have credentials, they will show the way for others, and you know, in their own area of excellence. So I think that's kind of all, you know, as it should be in a way. I saw a comment from Nathan that I wanted to repeat, but there's so much chattery going on in here. Okay, hey, Cami. Yeah, it's lovely. We have to remind this is Squirrel Sniper. We have to remind ourselves that the past doesn't exist. If we remain in the now, our mind can focus on all previous issues through maintaining the now and finding the best in this moment.
I have to agree with you, but if you don't know that the past is still living in you, you have to bring conscious awareness to that past experience and complete it, because in the nervous system, those things will remain incomplete. Yes. You know that even a cesarean scar will hold trauma in it until it is brought to completion.
Yeah, there's people who work with those traumas.
Yeah, exactly. So, you know, and wombs and that's on the physical level. But I know from my experience and the work that I do that most of the time we don't know that the past is steering the ship. The wake is steering the ship. Yeah, and until you can bring that unconscious into consciousness and confront the uncomfortable entanglement with the body, mind, emotional, nervous system stuff, you can't be in the now. It won't let you be in the now, because it's the mind is going to pull you back to what it knows, which is the past. It's going to pull you back. And most of us don't realize that is actually operating. I heard someone talk about money. They were saying, if you as a child heard things like, which I did, money doesn't grow on trees, or we can't afford that, or you know, if I spend that, then I'm not going to have enough money for A, B, and C. And those become templates that we don't associate with the now. but they're running.
Yeah.
As a filter.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it has a lot to do with choices you made coming out of school and in your job choices and so on. There's so many things that have been affected by that, say, mindset.
Well, and there's so much research, certainly that I've come across around your birth, that the birth experience remains in your nervous system and operates, affecting so much of your life. Most people don't even know what happened in their birth, but it's playing a part in.
Yeah, we think that. I mean, it's not our thoughts; it's other people's thoughts that I'm repeating. But this makes sense to me that because we're electrical systems and we're made up of all these cogs and wheels and chakras, energy flows, right? That if we have an energy flow that's been misdirected by seismic events or events in a time in your life, particularly when it's you're forming, then that misshapen flow can end up looking like an illness or a disease in the hospital.
I think Ida McCusick, with the tuning forks, she'll talk about frequency, that there's a frequency that's off. There's other people that will look at it from the point of view of the fascia. If you haven't looked at what the fascia looks like on your body, it looks like a super highway, and it's going into every single organ. It's the nervous system, and if there's been a trauma somewhere, then it's like a little block, and that needs. There are people that do myofascial release, which is where they do massage, or there's a group called Human Garage who do different maneuvers that allows that fascia to unblock, so that trauma. Often what happens when they do the unblocking is there's a release of emotion as well, which is connected to it. It's fascinating. So although I believe you're right, Nathan, about us being in the now, the only thing I'd say is that it's hard to be in the now when there's still so much incomplete past stuff. And that's why, for me, healing is so important.
Liz, the Iron Maiden, says bringing conscious awareness to these things in the past makes a huge difference. And I have to say, I got my training as a coach through a flat earther in Canada by the name of Beth Martins. And she had her bigger channel taken down, but she still does the King's Hero podcast and has a group out there. You can find out more about her if you go to Beth Martins. But a
lot of them will know her.
Right. She actually is very much about bringing conscious awareness. Very, very much my training with her was to find, discover that feeling or recognize that sensation, recognize where it is, and to recognize that is the reason that's there, or that's rooted in something that was designed to protect you. And once we can say to that, because you're talking to a 6-year-old or a 3-year-old kind of wound, I mean, from that time in your life perhaps, but when you can say, hey, I no longer need you, I'm showing you my loving kind of awareness, and I'm going to say, do I want this feeling or do I want to be free of this feeling? And I'm going to therefore seek to lift that energy out of me. It's not a one-time fix.
No.
It's a process that, it's like a spiral staircase. So these things will come around, but it's more like a practice of recognizing that and then loving on yourself, because you are the divine. And where we love ourselves, we will love those around us.
I have a slightly different take. Obviously, Dave and I, our training is aligned, but we have different ways of entering that.
There are many ways.
And for me, it's about giving yourself that safety and presence and holding that you that young part of you didn't get when you experienced whatever it is. So there is the one aspect is the awareness. But if we only have awareness, because we all have awareness about the earth, but until you go to what the root is, and that's the entanglement of what's in the nervous system and what's the emotional anchor, and until we're able to work through that with safety and presence and validation, exactly what we didn't get when we were younger, it's never going to complete. Which is why talking therapy is great, but you've got awareness, but it's still anchored. So it's like you've got awareness, but it's still anchored, and so it doesn't complete. So it does require that, and it's a spiral, like Dave said. So it's a revisiting and a revisiting and a revisiting.
And it'll be more than just the expression. It'll be something within, and it does take stillness and kind of going to that, and of course. Doom scrolling, we're picking on doom scrolling tonight, the doom scrollers. The doom scrolling is obviously a way of mitigating or avoiding that.
Yeah, I sent someone a post this morning about Gabor Mate, talking about to an addict. He's a doctor, but he was an addict, a heroin addict, and he asked him what his heroin gave him, and he said it gave him warmth. And then he asked him about his childhood and whether, when his parents were going through whatever they were going through, was he given safety, and who did he talk to about it? And he didn't talk to anyone. So he went through his emotional experiences on his own. So what the heroin was doing, it was giving him the warmth and the control and the connection that he was seeking. So it was a solution to a problem. But the problem really wasn't the experiences that happened to him. It was the experiences that happened in him that he never got to be held through, which is why we then reparent ourselves when we go through the healing part. But it's incredibly hard to, one, self-reflect and do it on your own. I really think it is. It's...
Well, and often we can't see this for ourselves.
We can't.
You really need somebody else kind of going, hey, look there, Sometimes it's the partner, but sometimes we don't necessarily want to hear it from the partner because, it's sometimes better coming better from a third party.
I think unions have not been set up, or the masculine and the feminine have not been taught how to, most importantly, repair. And most of the time in partnership, we're 3-year-olds wanting our needs to be met with each other, and we get locked into that. So, because the reality is that a relationship is going to bring up everything. But yes, relationships can do that. But often it's someone who's not emotionally entangled to be part of that process.
Yeah. That helps. Hi, Angela baby, and again I have said hello to.
So Angela baby said her. I'm raising my granddaughter because the mother and stepdad are on heroin. Yeah, that's really tricky, and I have real compassion for. I assume it's your daughter. What I would say is she's clearly in a lot of pain, and
but you see, it's hard. I think it's harder for you to reach your daughter than it would be for someone else, because because
with respect, I think that it's probably there might be some direct correlation between the mother and daughter experience. That has certainly been the case with my daughter, but my children is that. I brought my stuff unconsciously to my parenting.
I mean, the parents are predominantly, aren't they? I mean, society has a huge role to play. So this is not, and the messages of society. But the apple doesn't fall far from the tree, and inadvertently good or bad.
It's not it's not a shame thing.
No, of course not.
It's not a shame or a blame thing. It's a courageous taking responsibility, and it's hard. If I reflect now on my mother, which I've worked through so much with her, my relationship is considerably better with her, and I now have so much compassion for why she mothered me the way she did, because her childhood was devoid of love and abusive, and she didn't know how to mother, or she was in so much protection herself. Still is, but when we heal backwards and forwards.
The sins of our fathers. We, this thing about talking about events occurring in the electromagnetic system, which causes a little misdirection over here. It's the sine wave, it's the vibration, and we often overlook the fact that we are carried in our grandmother's womb. We are carried in our grandmother's womb because your mother's eggs were already formed in your grandmother's womb, right?
Yes,
right.
Yes. You are carrying.
And if we're electromagnetic, if all we are, not all we are, but we are predominantly a frequency, a vibration, then that tone remains somewhere in the music, in the orchestra. From that, it might be diluted down, it might be tweaked up depending on times of birth and all of this kind of thing. But it's there to be resolved.
Yeah,
the offer is there for it to
it's
be
ancestral,
cleansed.
Right? It's ancestral, but
Purified.
It's societal. The feminine and the masculine, let's be honest, they're broken, and it's on us individually to be willing to do the work to bring the feminine and the masculine back into their wholeness and true essence, so that we can start to come back into union. And yes, Angela, be able to be a family. Now, she said that the father is her son. So I'm not for a second saying these things are really complex. And there are also times where we have to put a boundary up and say,
child.
What do I need to do that is of a priority? And of course, protecting the child at all costs is your priority. And I honor you for that.
I guess, I got my old YouTube channel back called Trinity for Africa before your time here, I think, Angela. But in 2021, we were doing work with heroin users in South Africa on the beachfront, homeless people, prostituting, begging. And we had some amazing encounters. And I remember actually filming one night, and the guys had said, "Oh, you want to film us shooting up?" And I turned the camera away at that point, but I did establish a rapport with. In fact, I think this is one of the points that Martin said he cried, was because this young lady had come over and given me a hug. Said, "I wish I had a father like you." But one of the guys in that group, his sister wrote to me 2 years ago, maybe now, and said, you sent my brother home and he's clean now. So I know that with the right messages, some people can come back from that.
It's like anything. It's even about, seeing the truth or doing the inner work. It's like you have to really want to. You have to really, really want to, because it takes so much courage. It takes so much courage to face that pain, which most people are running from. And so it takes so much courage to go there. It takes so much courage to say, I am responsible. It's not my fault, but now it's my responsibility. And not everyone will take that invitation. In fact, very few will. And we can only love them. And in your case, Angela, love him from afar, because you've tried, and he's an adult, he now has to make those decisions for himself, and his decisions have consequences. So I just send you so much love, and like I said, I honor you for, making your granddaughter the priority.
Yeah. Good luck with that. And I think from the little bit I know of your story, she's going to be getting the opportunity to experience a lot of the homesteading stuff that I think is invaluable for us in the world going forward. So, and her granny's a flat earther. That's got to stand her in good stead. But yeah, I mean, coming back, on the serious note, coming back to the kind of the know thyself, do the work on thyself, and then from thy cup overfloweth the goodness that you will, share in the world.
I think also, part of being human and even spiritual is the acceptance that we're not perfect and that we have wounds and that we have things that we are having to work with and heal and that's okay. It's an acceptance of all of it. It's not like, oh, well, I just, I have to be this perfect human that's getting even the healing right or getting life right. It's not, that's not how it works. I think it's a devotion to self and then devotion to family and devotion to your relationship, a devotion to God that's more important and not with perfection, but with humility and love and grace.
There, but for the grace of God. Festivus Venus says, that's true, Andrea. Sometimes you have to look Satan in the eye.
Yeah.
Not everyone makes it.
Yeah, it's that. I'm obviously talking from my own experience here. That it's incredibly uncomfortable sometimes, and we've learned very, very cleverly. We've learned ways to protect ourselves and to survive. But I don't want us to survive anymore. For me, true freedom is when I can love every part of me and start operating from my heart rather than the survival mechanisms. But that's requiring me to have the courage to lean in to it all. And life is our biggest teacher. You said in the very beginning, as within, so without. From my experience, I perceive the world from the world that is operating within. And that doesn't mean that I'm not letting the world off the hook, but I'm also not making the world responsible for my inner world. I'm responsible for that. And that's a tough one because when we feel resentment, which is anger protecting the grief, then we want someone to pay for our pain. And no one is coming to save us. You have to save yourself.
Save I or. Save I or the government will. Or something. Allegedly Dave.
Wow.
I thought that was a typo. Hi, Dave.
Hi, Dave.
I don't know if you know, he just proposed.
No, I did not.
Yeah.
Wow. So, congratulations.
Yeah. Big congratulations to you, Dave.
Wow. Well, you know what? I can only say the few times that I've seen you recently and you speak about, sorry, I don't know what your partner's name is. I kind of do, but I don't. I can't remember.
Slipping my mind right now.
You're just beaming. So I'm so chuffed for you.
When we saw Dave, was it the first time he spoke about it? Was it Sounds Beautiful about her, or was it before Sounds Beautiful? There was a point you know what, I have manifested the lady that I want. manifested the person that I wanted to manifest. I think he met her like on a train, and then years ago, and like they had a
he'll have to tell the story because there's a whole there's syncretism there, and Murphy, there is all these little things that have popped up that he's told me about. So he'll have to tell us. But
yeah, you look very happy.
I've forgotten how many.
He was wearing a bloody suit and tie.
I've forgotten how many times ago he told us about her, and you just I'm just really chuffed for you.
Yeah. So we'll look forward to seeing all of that unfold over the next year or two. So,
Dave and Alison. Okay, Leafy.
Hi, Leafy.
Leafy. That rings a bell.
Yeah. Oh, hi, India. Holistic. Lightning. Nice to see you. Yeah. Oh well, it's very nice for you to drop in, Dave, and perhaps we'll see you sometime. I know your talks are over for the year, I guess. But I guess now it's time to go and build some nest.
Do you still go at this time of the year? Because I know normally you would flee the winter,
yes.
and but now that you're nesting with Alison, there's probably a whole lot of plans in the works. I know that the last time I spoke to you, you were sort of brewing an actual nest for the two of you. But yeah, I love seeing people happy and things working out, and I honestly believe that although our mind likes to tell us that things don't work out, the universe, God really does want things to work out for us.
Yeah, and it's actually nice to see Dave. He's almost like, he's like a sort of teenager who got himself just the perfect lady. And what he says he does here, he started off dressed casual and then slowly got dressed throughout the course of this talk. So it must have been odd to people going, wow, I Dave putting on a bloody tie. What the heck? Anyway, that's really nice news, and we'll look forward to seeing Alison and allegedly Alison. Yeah. Okay. You're stuck here while your plans crystallize. Okay, we'll have a chat. Yeah, that would be cool. Maybe you could invite me on your channel. I have this channel of mine, the new one. My little boy's easy. We've been like months ago. We were sitting on 1,760. And we're like, let's see if we can get it to 2,000 by the end of the year. And we've got it to 1,800.
Yeah, he's determined that's going to happen.
We've scored about 50 in the last 6 months. So we're doing well, but we're a little bit off track.
Yeah.
But anyway, either way, I'm sure we'll have a chat in the fullness of time. I love to you both, and many years of happiness. And I hope you manifest everything you will. I'm sure you will.
He is.
Yeah.
Not he will. He is.
Yeah. No, I saw images of, not CGI, but real images of his lady, and she looks perfect. So,
not CGI.
Yeah.
He's not got a virtual girlfriend.
I posted a video of Zizi, just a 1-minute video on my channel, and for the first time in a long time, so I apologize to the Patreon, but I put the rest of it. It was 7 minutes. I put the rest of it on the Patreon because it's beautiful. I mean, Zizi's just talking from the heart about war and about budgets, and in his head, he's working out like how many. He'd heard that we could solve world hunger for 500 billion or whatever it was, and he starts throwing all these numbers down, and then we just had this really cool conversation, which ends up with a little Michael Jackson quote about, if you want to make the world a better place, take a look at yourself and know thyself. Make that change. No. Yeah. So anyway, that had 350 views, 400 views, something like that. So I was chuffed that the little guy, because he wants to have a YouTube channel eventually, and he's got a little message to give, and he's a free spirit and extremely hungry to learn. He thrives on bringing me information that I haven't heard before, and I reward him for that by, going, wow, you taught me something new, how cool, because now he'll want to continue doing that. And so he's often bringing us things that we've never heard of before. Like, why didn't we know about this?
Yeah, he's very insightful, and he's always thinking, and that's the beauty of having that freedom to do that.
I was talking because I was talking to Steve Young the other day, and he's got young children who he's educating himself, or rather allowing the environment and so on. I was saying to him, I think one of the things we perhaps don't talk about enough is, what about the next generation? What do you hand your children when you've said this is all toxin? What do you hand them? How do they find their place in that world in a way that is vital?
What legacy? Are you meaning like a legacy, or are you meaning?
No, I mean you teach the child to fish, right? And so there is, and I know that there are many ways that a person can thrive without touching Deloitte's and the banks and all of that. But we, there is a sense that we would want to grow places for them to come into, rather than, like, I imagine a scenario where, say, Zizi was go off to school in a year, 2 years time, right? And now all of a sudden, this little guy with his long hair, which they might even force him to cut it, and completely, like, I'll stand up in class and tell them this, no, that's not right, or this is how it is, or whatever.
The school environment was never going to suit Zizi.
It would be crushing. And then he goes, but miss, we can't, we're definitely not got the gravity thing. That's all theoretical mumbo jumbo, blah, blah, blah. My dad's been telling me since I was born. Do you know what a hard time he would get in classroom at this point in time? So I would much rather that.
Do you know what I think, though? I think it's not just simply what we give them here. I think I truly believe that the children are being born with the mission that is like we'll take the baton on. Yes, we can completely break that, but I think there is an essence or dharma, a mission that they have in this lifetime to carry on the baton. But it's up to us to nurture that, and I think people will say, oh, it's not, people are not doing it. But actually, if you look in some of the more conscious parenting areas, particularly around the group that's called Reconnected, who are working particularly with the nervous system stuff, there really are a lot of parents who are through their own taking responsibility, and they do it through breath work. They are transforming the way they parent, and therefore giving children a different template.
Well, like Dave says, children don't need to be taught anything. I so agree with that. I mean, I will say, like, I did alphabets with him, when he was 0, 1, 2, we kind of worked through the alphabet and numbers and stuff like that. But really, I've realized that they are sponges. But once you start to constrain that sponge, then you limit their absorption or their willingness to absorb. And this is why I think a lot of boys end up struggling in school, because it is quite a rigid construction, and it's like, now you will learn this even if you don't want to. We don't have that approach with him. It's like he's deciding what he's taking on.
It comes back to the also honoring someone's no, and if you don't, if it's not your thing. I mean, I can see in Zizi's astrology chart that he's already, that part of his like highest path in this lifetime is probably, it's in Virgo, so it is analytical. It's like looking how everything works, and potentially he could be an inventor or someone that creates something that is of service to humanity. And I'm not pushing him in that path, but I'm allowing him to sort of go in the directions that are his yes. And of course, we know that when you're in the mainstream education, there is a curriculum, and that's it. That's what you have to learn, whether you like it or not, whether it's the maths and the science for me was like, when I got in South Africa, when I got to a certain age, they actually told me not to take it anymore because I was so crap at it. But can I do math? Yeah, I can do life maths very well, actually. But the other stuff was useless to me. Whereas these is completely different.
He's coming to Andrew with maths, and she's like,
I'm just like, talk to Dad. He's way more. And then, of course, Luke is.
And then even I'm like, wow, we were talking about irrational numbers at the dinner table now. And, the number of things that he's brought to me, and I'm like, wow, we're actually discussing, what's that, advanced mathematics the other day. We were discussing this, advanced mathematics. I'm like, I know he doesn't fully understand it, but he's like grappling with these subjects at 8 years old, and he's interested by that. It's like, okay, you're interested in
it. He really loves it, and because he loves it, he's just like, he can't get enough of it, and we can honor that for him and support that as much as possible. But he doesn't really need to be even encouraged because it's just he's so passionate about it.
Yeah. Dave Murphy, actually, now I think about it, he met Zizi probably when he was still in his first year. And then of course, he's 2.5 when we joined him in Venice.
Well, because Dave got his channel back, I
came across the footage of you guys waiting at the airport
and we came
we'd
up
already come out another door and came around the back and ambushed you.
That was a really lovely
That's
memory.
Fun. Yeah. That's 6 years ago now.
Yeah.
And I, even back then, we went off grid and we were on the land because, it continues to be my ambition to see him not only, have his academic juices or his intellectual juices but to apply it in a real world way on land with wood, with growing, with things like that.
And also the balance, right, between, he lives in a world which is digital, but still giving him the natural world to kind of bring that into balance. And I think that's a lesson for all of us, right? It's like, it's not about throwing the baby out with the bathwater when it comes to our online or digital presence or involvement. It's about making sure that we're always finding that grounding or that connection back to our own true nature and nature itself. That's who we truly are. Yeah. It's a tool. It's been an incredible tool. In fact, we wouldn't be sitting here right now. In fact, we wouldn't know most of you. We wouldn't have been able to do the work we do. It's all our coaching is online. My astrology is mostly online. So it's been an incredible thing. But it is about balance.
Yeah, it is about balance. We wish we had more time on the bus together on that tour. We only had we had that one day.
It was Venice, and then we flew out that night.
And we arrived we'd flown out at 5 in the morning and arrived in Venice at 6 or 7 in the morning, something like that. And the crew, Jack and Dave and Lisa had come to the airport, pick us up, and we're in the airport car park, I think. And we don't leave there, or we parked just outside the airport. Or maybe we drove for a little while.
We drove into Venice suburb and sat in there for about 3 hours.
And then Dave and I, we just sat there yaggering, and I'm like, man, this conversation should be on. I should be recording this conversation. It was such a profound conversation.
Yeah, love our chats, Dave. I think there's so much that we...
Then we end up late. Not late, but good Lord, did we have to hump and pump for about 2 hours to get...
It was a bit of a contraption that you had to lug. It was like it was like taking a cannon with you. But Liz says the Global Art Tour was amazing. And am I allowed to say that there is a little...
there's a bubbling.
A bubbling of a possibility of...
A Tour 26.
Tour 26, yes.
Yeah. At this stage, probably England-based rather than... Europe-based was what I suggested to the guys who are talking about organizing this, because it does require a certain amount of investment support, and we lost a lot of that
and time.
momentum at the end of 2019. We had at the end of 2019. So of course, Mr. Murphy there will be
put my name down for the tour. Well, your name's already down.
Yeah, I think haven't they carved your name on the door anyway, Dave? I would expect so. But yeah, no, of course. Who wouldn't want to have Dave on the team, and doing it. Tomorrow I'm in Cheltenham, actually. Is it Cheltenham?
It's Cheltenham, yes.
Tomorrow I'm in Cheltenham.
A really interesting
town.
Interesting place.
Sunken buildings.
Yeah, but really interesting. I want to say, while Dave's still here, is I'd love to have a chat with you about we didn't get to see the end of your talk when we were in Bournemouth, but to get to talk to you a little bit more about the Sky Clock? Is that what it's called?
Yeah. In Prague?
Yes. I'd love to talk to you a little bit more because I'm really fascinated about that. I haven't had a chance to catch the whole thing that you've been talking about.
It's interesting, that Prague Square, because we went to Prague years before all of this street started coming in, and walking around the square, the clock's on this face of one wall, and then if you walk away from it, you come into the main square. Is it Wenceslas Square? Am I right about that? Anyway, you come into the main square, and we were walking around there, and I'm joking, but I can just imagine Hitler walking up the stairs of this building, kind of thing, because the buildings all in that look pristine. Like, maybe my eyes would be a little clearer now, but they look like they were never damaged, right? And then it turns out, I don't know if David pointed this out, but it turns out that the only thing damaged in that whole beautiful square is the space of this clock. And why? Because it had a flat Earth thing within it. It was depicted a kind of flat Earth model rather than what they've got, like a little globy kind of cartoon there now. So yeah, that would be. But
yeah, I really resonated with. So my talk has evolved since I spoke to you. Well, that's even more reason for us to. Of
course, it's evolved.
To talk a little bit more about it. Maybe you can come and talk on the channel about it, and we can learn some more.
Yeah, no, definitely.
He says he has a photo of the damage of the clock.
Right, I think I've seen that photo, Dave. You may have shown it. I may have seen it at your presentation or at some point. But you met Dave at COVID Light Tour. In Edinburgh. That's cool. I wasn't in the country for all of that stuff, so they were using the same tour bus, the same camper van that we lived on for months.
I think it died.
The camper van
towards the end of that tour, if I'm not mistaken.
That's why Jason wants to do it. Yeah, he wants to do it in a different way next time, where we'd be more based in like people driving from place to place, but we would provide Airbnb type accommodations for people in a town, in a place, for a couple of days maybe, and so we can do a couple of days in one city, maybe this different location, same location in the same city, but not be moving so much, like a couple of days here, 3 days here, whatever, and then a day off, and then on to the next place. Anyway, a little while, but that's.
But Jason's super excited about it. So, and once he's got this like little idea, then
and I'm stoking the fire because he's the guy to kind of pull it all together, as far as I can tell. So I'm stoking that fire because I really think we need to do that. I feel like there is much more potential, and really, if there's a group, 2, 3, when 2 or 3 are gathered, right, then or more, then we have a far greater presence and a far greater kind of potential to reach people.
Well, it's an interesting thing. I mean, I may or may not be right, but the with Uranus, which is the awakener, moving into Gemini, that sort of Gemini is communication and teaching, and it's the Mercury, and it's moving, and it is, can also be digital. It's a big digital thing, a digital aspect, because Uranus rules Aquarius, which is technology. But so it's an interesting time for that to sort of be fluffing up. In fact, we should even check the sort of dates. I'm not sure when Uranus goes direct, so I know there's another aspect actually in is April and July next year. Anyway, I'm just waffling.
Cool. Well, I'm looking forward to that, and I'm going to do what I can to encourage those parties involved. And what I said to Jason was that would be great to invite people who are local to an area that we're going to be visiting to join us, with a view to them possibly, being able to, show enough.
It's training stroke. What's when you go for a acting
audition?
It's training stroke audition.
As well as contributing, being part of it, but the opportunity to get involved in tours down the line, because
to have a taster, whether it's something that they feel they want to put their energy in.
We do UK. In the next year, we have the aspiration to stretch our legs into Europe, and America, or Australia, or South Africa. I was saying, like, English-speaking countries.
South Africa would be amazing. Actually, it would be amazing because it's the people understand English.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of that goes there. I think Africa would be a great one.
Well, we already spoke with Jason about doing a drive down Africa.
I know, but that's a lot of driving.
And you wanna focus on areas where you can get away with the language.
But South Africa, maybe a bit of Zimbabwe, maybe those sort of just really southern. I know that.
Has Dave been to South Africa?
Dave was expressing some African. He was wanting to be of service in Africa the last time we spoke.
Well, we should maybe go and hook up with what's his name, Tellinger.
So
go and look at the stones.
that would be amazing. Actually.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
So we'll let that bubble for the time being.
Yeah. Michael Jackson was whacked and was actually rebelling against his handlers. I keep all of that. I mean, I don't even want to say that's right or wrong. It may be. It may be that he was really whacked. She's beautiful and you're both glowing. Oh, that's another.
It's Dave and Alison.
All right. Yeah. There was an absolute glow. Yeah. And what a nice surprise for her. I don't know whether she knew that was coming at all, or whether that was just out of the blue. We'll find out in the fullness of time. But yeah, once again, huge congratulations to you guys. India was giving out the tickets. I was the front. Roxanne and Robin had good informative channels, but I think we shut down silence with poor data connections. How are you doing, Jolly Man? Yes. If it wasn't for the New World Order agenda, we would have done the US tour by now. Yeah, absolutely. 2020 was very, I know Big Bob, and all of the other, meaty channels.
Maybe it genuinely just wasn't the right time. So we can say that was, but there was other.
Well, there's a much more powerful angle now, and I've used it at Speaker's Corner, to say to guys, listen, you're not questioning the scientists, but I know that many of you are questioning the science over the last 5 years. Good scientists have been misled over the last 5 years. We know it, and we know that the government is hiding it.
Well, and actually, I think that the last 5 years was kind of an important thing that people went through, and it's your experience that actually now, when you talk to people, that there is sometimes, not always, but sometimes a reception to what you're trying to say.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think the last time I was in the street was in Bournemouth, but maybe my location wasn't that good. Let's see what happens tomorrow. I'll be live from midday, so if you're in the area, give me a shout or come and support us.
Elva Billy says, I watched a Tender video once. That was enough.
I have communicated.
He's on the Squirrel Sniper says he's on the ancient alien side of the fence. Yeah, I mean, I personally don't. He's not someone I resonate with, but he's doing him, and that's okay. Yeah.
I think the Flat Earth Awakening happened when it did to protect people from COVID. No
Yeah. Waves. I think this is waves, and it could be that we're predestined to wake up in those waves. It's necessary so that we can hold hold other people's hands and guide them. I don't really know the answer. I think it's massive, and maybe not everyone can or will wake up to this, and that's okay.
I don't know. I don't like to write anyone off.
No.
I'll be honest. I don't like to write anyone off. I don't know what the end game is. I do not think that it has a, it was written with a pleasant ending. I don't think that. But I also like to think that I could engage with someone, find solutions for them, despite having done things that.
I mean, my sister's a perfect example, right? Yeah. She's definitely on a journey, but she is open to so much of that's sort of what can we call it? So much of the deception out there now, post having gone through that, awful experience, and there is lots for her to heal, but I totally hold the possibility that that's possible, and so that's for everyone, right? Everyone has that possibility, but I have to be okay with those that don't take up that invitation.
Yes,
that's okay.
Yes, but nor do I want to feel like I'm in a position to make a judgment as to whether there is a condemnation of the story, and not an opportunity for fixing. Because if everything is vibration, I think it's all frequency. If it's all frequency, and I know we talk in simple terms of chelating and pulling things out of the system in sort of very materialist, atomistic ways, but I think I'd like to believe. I do not give up on those that have maybe fallen down. There might be a point, like I totally respect what you're saying, Angela, about there is a kind of, well, this is the decision you made, and if that's where you are at, then that's where I've got to lovingly leave you. But if there's a way that you want me to try and find, help work with you to try and find a solution here, then I'm not going to write you off because you fell in line.
I don't think we need to even write. We don't have to write anyone off, right?
No. But
we don't have to write anyone off. I think that just because we don't align with someone's decision doesn't need to. We don't even need to make them wrong for the decision they're making. It's not for me to say what your path is and what your dharma is and what your decision should be. I don't know better than you, is what I'm trying to say. I don't know better than you, and I know that what I am responsible for is me and my then the ripple effect, and that is what I need to be focusing on. Do I want to be of service because that is our true nature, is to want to serve others? Yes, but I have to do that from a place of love, compassion, and not from a place of wanting to save someone, that they see that the medicine that I offer, or the service that I offer, is something that they feel is aligned with them, and that will, the decision to work with me or me mentor them or whatever is in alignment.
And can you feel in yourself that, I'm not talking to you specifically, I'm saying to the folks listening, can you see in yourself that if your vibration today or yesterday is a particular emanation, then that is going to have a ripple effect on the people you encounter in the queue or in the high street or wherever, in your home, workplace, or whatever. It's going to have a ripple effect on that. And where was I going with that?
I don't know, but I know that we're part of we have our own field, but that is directly connected to to the consciousness field. And so whatever I'm doing and putting out there, and yes, I am emanating a field of, either it's of love or whatever. And this is not about us being perfect and being love and light. I'm not saying that at all. But it's only me that can be that. Yeah. In fact, I saw there's a guy named Richard Rudd. He has Gene Keys, and he was saying, our only responsibility is to ourselves. That is our one main role here, is to ourselves. Now, that might sound selfish, but I do believe that when you are coming from a place of wholeness and love, then you will naturally want to be giving and be in connection and
less
whatever.
Inclined towards the deadly sins and more towards the heavenly virtues, or whatever they call the cardinal virtues.
He also said that most humans are afraid of themselves. And when I say that, I mean we are so mean to ourselves. And it's that work of coming back to that self-love, because it's only from that place you can give, right? It's from that full cup that you give. Yeah. Otherwise, you're giving out of a different need, probably an egoic need.
And then I saw Tarita in the chat. I wanted to say thanks for sending us some coffees the other day. Really appreciate it.
Yeah.
And that's how she became an FE. I assume because we were talking about the 2020 stuff. It was I think it was a big breakout event for a lot of people. And I'm excited.
Well, actually, Luke has a friend that he has been friends with since he was 3 and went to university with, and so we've known the dad for a very long time. And it was COVID that really was a wake-up call for him, wasn't it? I'm talking about Jim, James's dad.
Yep.
And he then turned up at a festival that we were not expecting to be at, and was really, really interested, came to your talk, had long chats, and that would not have happened if it wasn't of 2020.
Yeah. So, things have brought, I sometimes think about this, like, what, back in the day when they were bringing in the passport, there would have been people going, we don't want no passport, right? They're going to start limiting the way we can. No. It's just going to help it, right? So people would have been doing this for a long time, And here I am arriving in the last decade, going, well. So I think, and there's Dave Murphy been doing it a couple of decades, and then learning from people who've been talking about this for a long time. But I have this kind of just bombshell, which is not a surprise to some of you. I was listening to Manly P. Hall this morning. I was up at 5:00. And he'd said in it, something along the lines of, this stuff is hidden from the profane, and I have a certain, don't shoot the messenger, please, but I have a certain sympathy towards that sentiment, because it's like, the don't cast pearls before swine idea. Well, it's the same kind of thing, It's like, would you really want to invite onto your yacht where you were going on a around the flat earth world cruise? Would you really want to invite, person subject B over there who is like, just dragging their knuckles along the ground and blah, blah, blah. And I'm maybe being unkind in that characterization, but would you really want to say, well, let's just open the doors of Shawshank Prison, because this prison is pretty unkind.
Festivus saying is 33 Freemason, Manly P. Hall.
He became a Freemason, yes, he did. I believe that he wasn't always a Freemason, but he was offered an honorary Freemasonry thing at the end. Now, that could be all bollocks, I don't really know, but I do try and extract from it the information. I mean, I haven't listened to too much of him over the last few years, but I have done over the years. It just happened to pop up on my feed. Perhaps I was on my old channel, and that's why it had come up. anyway, so I just, the point is that there's a truth in this, Nathan, that I do believe that the work that I have yet to do, have been doing, and have yet to do on self-actualization, self-realization, alchemy, as Steve Young talks about. It's the four elements within the ether: the two feminine, the two masculine, the two that point up, and the two that point down. You got the downward pointing ones, which globe believers really struggle with, but Earth stays down, Mother Earth stays down unless disturbed, and water stays down unless disturbed. Air and fire go up, and these are the masculine energies, and we have all four. We are a collection of the four in different quantities, right? And we are to, whatever your quantity is, and of whatever your skill and your thing, and we are to hone that. We are to katana, like sharpen the blade of our
mastery,
our sword of I don't know, of divinity, of what we were,
well,
meant to
I
be.
think we came here, I use the word dharma, but with a mission, and I think that, it's different for everyone, but ultimately it's the same thing, and that is that we evolve, we grow, we expand, we return to love, we protect, we be of service. It's our highest expression, and that's for all of us, right? Our highest expression, and that's a journey in itself. And one that we're all on. One thing I love about Dave is that he's really good at listening to the full spectrum of teachings, and then being able to distill the parts that he thinks it's a bit like the Bible. The Bible has got some truths in it, right? And you can throw the baby out with the bathwater with all of this stuff, and then go, you know what? I'm not that.
Same with astrology. There's so much that you can, if you go into it. Not to say, all right, well, it says, my astrology says I shouldn't go out for the next week. I'd be like, well, that's probably not what it's meant to be. It's like you might be, not going with life, but obviously honoring.
I think this comes back to trusting your gut on what parts of something and feel aligned or true, even right now, because you might in 2 months' time, 2 years' time, go, that thing that I learned, I'm not necessarily in alignment. It's been part of my journey. It's brought me to this point, but I'm now ready to say that and that's a tough thing in itself, because we tend to want to hold on to what we know as a righteousness and not want to say we were wrong and keep that thing, that familiar knowing there. But, I think it's a sign of maturity where I can say I learned something, and either I don't know the answer now, or I'm not sure, or I've learned something new and that feels more aligned to me. That it's not even that it was wrong, that it's not in alignment with me anymore. And so I really love that about Dave. And, in that respect, he's one of my most respected teachers, because he is able to take information and with discernment, extract the bits that may be of.
I learned a lot from that Murphy fella. Don't know if he's still around, but something he didn't teach me about was the bending and warping of space and time. You see, right here, I have evidence of the bending and warping of space and time, which is why this globe obviously is floating only on a cushion of time and space that's bent. All right, jokes aside.
Dave says, I always learn something new whenever I give a talk. Yeah. When you have a talk with someone, someone will share something that gives you a different perspective, and it's an opportunity to sit with it.
Yeah. No, Dave was like, when I was getting into Flat Earth, actually, I was already like, there's something to this, but I think I might be, I could be being conned here. And then I saw his talk with Smolensky or whatever over in Latvia or whatever, Moldova. And it's like, wow, this is the most, I'm looking at the man's face, this is the most sensible sounding guy I've heard so far talking about this. I guess it's 2015. So yeah, it's not anything I've learned from him, but
I think our intuition or our connection to our discernment or trust in ourselves and is such an important thing to master or to reconnect to, or to have that stillness to like a deeper listening, like a listening beyond our ears, is such an important thing, especially in the feminine, but obviously in all of us.
Hippie says a deeper understanding of ourselves means we make better decisions.
Yeah. There's a saying that I was told by a mentor: the mind shouts, but the heart whispers. And that for me, to hear what the heart is trying to say, we have to be able to create that deeper listening and then trust it, of course. Very important part.
I think there might be a question for Dave Murphy. I don't know, maybe asking me, but Holistic rewatched this the other day. Dave's epic street ramp in Oxford. That was a moment, actually. That was a moment. And when I stopped talking on that day, I was like, wow, that was good, but I know I can do better. And then all sorts of shit started unfolding. No, I was looking for someone had asked a question about the Knights Templar and directed it at Dave. I don't know if that was the other Dave, because he may probably know more about it.
There it is.
Did you hear the Knights Templar march through Vatican in September, first time in 700 years?
What was the reason behind? What is the intention behind the? I'm asking Squirrel if he knows what.
Well, there'll be a public reason, and there'll be an occulted reason, no doubt. Hi, Boston Ray. Nice to see you, mate. Sea Lightning's talking about the height of the sky and stuff like that. It's another conversation, another interesting conversation, but we'll leave that for another time. I mean, I'm fascinated by all of these things.
It was Macedonia.
It was Macedonia, yes. Isn't that what I said? That what I said?
Moldova.
Go back and watch it again.
Moldova and
Latvia
and all the Eastern European names.
Listen, I don't want him to know that every night before bed we have to watch that Macedonia video every night for the last 2,000 nights. I just didn't want him to know that. I've got my Macedonia rocks pillow and all of that stuff.
I love allegedly Dave bed.
Yeah.
Bed sleeping trousers.
Well, it'll go well with Alex Michael's 432 hertz clothing range.
I don't know if you remember that from last time. We had a little bit of a giggle, didn't we? But I think it's an interesting concept to put imbue. Is that the right word?
Yeah.
Imbue 432 hertz into clothing
material.
Yeah, I think there's
something to that.
Yeah. I mean, I know that artificial fibers are of a certain frequency, right? And the natural fibers are
like linen is 5,000 hertz or something. I'm saying. I'm not an expert on that. But.
I mean, I if I'm honest, I do try and see if I can sort of swap some things out, but it's not that easy when it comes to clothing to not have the artificial fibers.
You mean
it's not impossible. It's not impossible, but
righty. I wanted to say, Alex, while he's on my mind, he has, I think, relaunched his or refreshed his website. Healingfrequencies.org.
No, .net, I think.
I might have to go and get my phone because it's on my phone.
I think it's healingfrequencies.net.
Hippie, would you mind having a look for that? It's healingfrequencies.net or .org.
I think it's net.
Alex has carved out the solfeggio work and put it on a website. Alex Michael sort of focused, not conspiracy stuff, in order to reach those ears that are.
You can still get the solfeggio stuff on the Conspiracy Music Guru, but he's trying to do something separate where he's targeting the healing audience as a way of selling the solfeggio music.
I suppose we could go and have a quick butcher's hook at see if we can find it ourselves. You were going to look at something.
No, I just had it there just in case we wanted to. I mean, there is lots going on, and my invitation to anyone is either if you want to know more from me, then get in touch, or just trust that what life is trying to show you or curate for you is probably showing you something.
.org. Let's see. Not secure.
No, it's not. It's not net.org. It's net. I'm fairly certain it's net.
Frequencies. That's definitely not going to work. Sorry, guys. I should have.
Is it frequencies or frequency?
Oh, it might be frequency.
It would make more sense for it to be healing frequency.
I've deleted the whole thing. I'm not very. I spend very little time on the laptop these days. It's mostly phone-based.
No, you still spelled it wrong.
Oh, my Lord above. Sorry, guys. I'm starting to sweat from the pressure of putting you under all of this, wasting your time on this. Oh, hey, this might be it. We've got a landing page. Let's see.
Oh, it's taking a while to open.
Oh, my Lord above. Dial-up. 56 kilobytes.
Anyway,
okay.
I think people get the general idea.
I'm going to have to rely on Hippie to find it or something other than me.
If Glyph's still in the thing, he'll probably be able to.
Well, Glyph was working on it. So
I know, but he'll probably be able to frequency.
Glyph was working on it. Error 404. Yeah, maybe I got the wrong one. I'll go before this call.
Look, she's put it in there. Healingwithfrequencies.net.
Of course.
Thank you, Hippie. I mean, thank you, Glyph.
Well,
See, I told you he would do it.
With Alex,
he has. Glyph, Greg, who's in Italy, has been helping us out with a whole lot of visuals, and we're so grateful for his energy.
Yeah, I really want to try and get my website a little bit cleaned up there. I haven't put anything on for a few years for some reason. And I'm hoping that this Swiss Truther TV channel, that recording they made with me, is going to go live soon. And I'm hoping it's going to cause a flood, a tsunami, 15 or 20.
You might get your extra 200
through that.
Yeah.
Well, this channel, I mean, they had put a flat Earth video on the Eric DeBay 200 Proofs one on a couple of years ago, and they had a couple of 100,000 views on it, I think, on their channel. So, I could get a few thousand views. You never know. We could end the new year with a 2,000 subscriber count. But anyway, I think it's lovely to be able to talk to you guys on a weekly basis. And I am plotting to start doing like a once a month men's Zoom call. Yeah, Zoom call where everybody would be in the call and would have a participation.
Yeah, I mean, I equally would like to do the same for women. If there's interest.
Well, I think that what I'm going to do with mine is to set it up for December, to do one in December. I'll let you know the date well in advance. And even if there's only 2 or 3, that would be a great place to start. To get guys together.
We just feel like we all need that connection time, and this is wonderful, but it's not. It's lovely that you guys are talking in the chat, but it's not. It would be nice to see your faces too.
Really we can connect that way? You're
I'm up for that.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
So, and I would say the same for women. If there are any women who would be interested, please reach out. It doesn't take a lot for us to just set it up, and we can let it organically form or
flow.
come into flow. Yeah.
Yeah, I think my sense is that we need each other more than perhaps for men anyway. I'm talking than equally for. I'm not going to let the women off the hook, as it were. But I think I can talk for the men. I think that we need each other more than our egos have allowed us to be with each other.
I think women are better at doing that thing anyway, although I will say this, that I think it's incredibly important that we are able to come into, this is for the feminine, but it is for the masculine too, and in a way that's quite vulnerable to be seen, actually. And we would like to be able to facilitate that for the men and women.
Yeah. Well, I find that I'm getting better at holding a space for men to unpack, some of the stuff that they maybe don't get a chance to talk about, and to offer a kind of comfortable place for guys to, hear each other. I think that would be very empowering for those. So I see Nathan's got his name in the hat, and Hippie says, buy Dave and Andrea coffee. That would be great. Teresa says she likes listening to us.
Have a Billy, I must admit, I prefer the company of women.
Well, of course, I mean, everyone, that's absolutely right.
Amanda tried reaching you.
Sven.
Okay.
Sorry about that. Well, if
try again, or
if she wouldn't mind,
send me an email. I'd happily.
Andrea has a Instagram.
I have Instagram, or there is the Trinities.
Is it Andrea Mann or your Instagram?
No, my Instagram is the Love True Sovereignty.
There you go.
At Gmail.
Not the Love True Sovereignty.
No, Love Truth Sovereignty at gmail.com, or there's Trinities there at gmail.com, or failing that, there's Trinity for Man at gmail.com, or you can leave a comment and ask to get in touch, or DM me on my Instagram.
I've got Trinity for Africa back.
But actually, all of this is on the link tree. Yeah, so if you go onto Dave's link tree, all of his stuff is there. And I think on the Trinities, my link tree is there. But my link tree is also on andrea.manel on Instagram. And there's the Dave. Is it Dave or David? Dave Manel is also, his link tree is all there. And all our contacts are there for you to get in touch. For me, you can even book a free discovery call if you want to chat about us working together. I implore you, if you feel at all the sort of whisper or nudge to want to do that, please do. Both Dave and I would love to support you in a way that feels right for you. So, often we're so used to coping on our own, because that's a very young way of having had to deal with life, and a very learned way. I'm talking from experience here. And so the reaching out and asking for help or to have needs in the first place feels so unfamiliar and vulnerable. But we want to be of service in that way. So if you feel the nudge, please do. Nathan wants to know, how did you get your old channel back after so long?
Well, my mates over at your lodge, they had a word with what's his name. No, what it is that I noticed the other day, month or so ago. That old astrotheology had got his channel back, and they're like, oh, I guess because he's a 250,000 sub, maybe they just gave it back to him, going, there's a lot of potential revenue here for us, or there's a lot of potential name gathering here for us, or whatever. And then I saw Mark Devlin say he got his channel back, but he said I had to ask for it. So I went to, like if you have a couple of YouTube channels on the little sidebar there, you can kind of go and click between the different channels. And for the last 4 years, the one that used to be Trinity for Africa, or, the original one, said action not allowed. On this occasion, this is a week ago, I go and look at it and it says you can apply for a review of your thing. And, in the kind of blurb, it had been, well, we at, YouTube, we've changed some of our policies on medical or whatever. I can't remember exactly.
Well, they have, but also we know that narrative's done.
Yeah.
They're not bothered about that narrative. We can't hurt that. It's
people are more worried about Trump.
It's embedded now.
That whatever
that story is embedded. It's
the horse is bolted.
Yeah, exactly.
And I guess, to be fair, I suppose there were people in America fighting court cases even over this. I haven't looked into it, but I suspect there would have been people who were on a real good earner who had their channels taken away and would have fought for it back.
But there's a whole new narrative now that you can't talk about, so that they're not that bothered. So the reasons that Dave was his channel was taken away are no longer relevant. So that's why
it was all medical misinformation.
Yeah, and that's why they're now giving those channels back. But this will be interesting to people who like astrology, is that he got it back the day that Mercury went retrograde in Sagittarius. And Sagittarius for Dave is his truth talking on the third house rules. It's in the third house. It rules even communication online, or any communication, and it's the truth telling. And he got it on the day that Mercury went retrograde in Sagittarius. So it was so on point that the next day he had to take action.
Yeah.
He had to take the action to get it done, because if he hadn't, it wouldn't have worked out that way. But I just love how those synchronicities show.
Yeah. So I was like, that same day, I was like, oh, okay, so let me go and look at this. Oh, I can apply. I'll apply that night. I apply. And the next morning I wake up and it's like, there's your channel. And immediately a number of 5 videos have been taken down because the channel's come back up, and some other thing, I suppose.
Some other algorithm is now checking something else.
Notifying me or something. So
yeah, well, most of them are when this can't be monetized or whatever.
Yeah. Oh, maybe that's what it was. It wasn't. It wasn't taken down. It was just.
But the most important thing for you was to be able to get the old stuff back, which were videos of
the early days of activism. South Africa, Portugal. Time on Dance, land at Merkaba. So that was lovely. That is lovely to have that back, but it's bittersweet, isn't it? And one that you have the power to give and take away, and
But you also said, because they should never have taken away, and so it's not like you should be grateful for it because it shouldn't have been done in the first place. But you also said that, I think you may have said this last week actually to everybody, that it's interesting as a point of reflection to see how you have evolved since some of those earlier, and so it's almost like you've matured out of the channel.
Well, I don't have the same relationship. It's a weird thing. I don't have the same relationship to the channel now, because obviously I've invested 3 years or 4 years nearly into building something new. And of course, you go back there and it's not like everybody's sitting around, the table waiting for you to come back. There were a few people who've commented and said, it's lovely to see you, wondered where you've been. But
so Nathan says he searched for it, but it doesn't come up.
What, Trinity for Africa?
Yeah, it's Trinity for Africa. So
okay, I'll go and get it. I'll show you. I just have to go over here.
Someone said I just got booted off the internet.
Oh, it was maybe for surely not for going to my channel. My channel's clean, man. My channel is clean. Twitch account. That's the Trinities. There's 23 watching at the moment, apparently. There's me, 1,800, and that's Trinity for Africa, 2,730. So a few fell away in the time, you know. So my, I don't know where I don't even, I still, oh, here you go. Good Lord, we're a bit on the slow side here. Okay, there you go.
Yeah, put a couple of new ones on there recently. But I think the last one, just go before you you do that.
I'm in the studio.
Yeah.
Go on.
The last one actually was that one. It was when before the police.
No way.
On the beach. That was Christmas 2021.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, December 27th. Wow, so it wasn't Christmas Day that I had to, unless I make this, no, because I made this video here, chased by 8 police thugs on Christmas Day, because that was me getting chased off the beach for not wearing the mask and flyering people. And then I must have loaded that a little later to talk about that. Gosh. Proof of curvature on globe. See, I'm still trying to make wow. But yeah, I've got very special memories of you. If you go back here, very special memories of, wow, these two ladies here. I had a conversation with them. Oh my gosh. Anyway, there are some epic bits of video.
Well, I suppose people like actually Festivus, Nathan, you may not have seen this channel of Dave's because he may not have. This may have been shut down already.
Before,
I don't know. I mean, Nathan can say, but that it might be interesting for you to go and have a look, especially you know the very early days. There's some amazingly cute, which a lot of people who have been around for a while will have been on the journey with Zizi, but you know, to watch him through the years growing up.
I remember these two ladies. I think there's 3 or 4 of them in a group. There's only 2 in the thumbnail, but I had a really good conversation with them, and they were, you know, wanting to protest against stuff, but guys, you're wearing the mask, and you know how sensitive a conversation is. Anyway, that's you know, you're welcome to go and check it out, subscribe to it. I will put some content on there, but I have 1 or 2. There's some great videos on there that I was doing, you know, and my back wasn't always against the old wall.
There'll be the early original Speaker's Corner stuff, right? With allegedly
Dave, yeah.
And the Globe Life stuff, some of the Globe Life stuff. Not all of it, because obviously that was mostly Jason.
Oh, and you won't know. I mean, the on the Globe Life tour, like technology was a bit of a bugbear, because see, between Zizi was already using like a device to watch, you know, whatever, and so between Andrew and I think we had 2 devices, right? So there wouldn't always like
we're sharing a phone.
Like in my ideal tour, I would have a camera on me all the time, because we're so like pumped. We're so like pumped. I mean, you know, Jason still talks about it today. The night in Frankfurt or wherever, where we invited half a dozen people onto the tour bus, and I gave them like 15-20 minute like spiel. Then those German students or Swiss students somewhere, you know, just on the roadside at a road stop, like, you know, a bunch of them, a gaggle.
I think that's a really interesting question that I've been, you know, because I've been in this, and we've got Mercury retrograde there. I've been in this sort of liminal space of like a threshold, not who I was and not who I'm going to be. So that's sort of in between. And because Mercury's there, you know, I suppose a question I'd like to put out to you is, what would you like Dave and I to offer you? What is it that you want from, say, Dave's channel, or from the We Gather, or from us in any way? It'd be really insightful to have a little bit of feedback if there's something that would help, or you'd be interested in, or I think it's one thing to say this is what we give, but it's also interesting to know what people would like from us.
I like that. I've enjoyed the conversation today. Is there anyone who wants to say anything else before we wrap it all up? Hippie had also got the hail. We've had a little bit of. We're in
Cotswolds.
Actually, on a tiny wine farm, believe it or not.
Very pretty.
Yeah.
Very beautiful part of the country.
Yeah. Very beautiful.
But very cold.
Yeah.
Well, for us anyway.
Yeah. So it'll be cold tomorrow on the street. So make sure to wrap up warm if you're going to come watch. Raziros,
did you have a long conversation
with Andrew Kaufman about FE? Andrew Kaufman. So I ended up picking up Kaufman at the airport and taking him back to the airport at the end of his weekend. So I asked him about that, and about sort of flat Earth, and the answer I got, I didn't seek to press him on it, but I felt like my thought about it afterwards was that I think, but I might be wrong, that he came to flat Earth also belatedly, and there's people only finding it today, so but I think that he might also have been like a post-COVID convert.
Yeah. I stand corrected, but I think he's in the sort of the group of sort of Kelly Brogan, Steve Young, Alex Zek, that sort of health freedom group that have come to it later on. So I think he's still in the exploration.
That's right. Phase. I think that might be right, is that he's all of a sudden, because now all of a sudden these health freedom people have coalesced, and some of them are coming together with information beyond the needlecraft and germ theory. And so Mike is one of them. Stellium, I think he's kind of been in some of these same festival events and what have you.
There's been a merging, right?
Yeah, and of course the guys over at Alpha Vedic, they've been on the flat for a while. Amanda Wolmer. Mm-hmm. And so now all of a sudden Kaufman has come into a circle with these people, and they're like, obviously the Earth isn't spinning. That would be ridiculous for anyone to think that, right? And they're like, oh yeah, of course. I've been thinking about that for a while. So my feeling was that he's got the flat Earth sort of thing, but he hasn't done. I mentioned this last week, that he hasn't necessarily had to do the heavy treading, which I kind of, I'm okay with, because the early runners are going to have to break the path, and others are going to go, well, I don't need to work this out, because this part of it.
Well, there's your zone of genius too, right? Yeah. And his is, he's got his medicine and you've got yours, and I think that's amazing.
Yeah.
You've done the intensive research into that, and he's got obviously knowledge in other areas.
That's right, because I was saying with the medical stuff, it's like, okay, I don't need to do deep medical. I will resonate with good teachers of it and go, right, this guy is going to give me the information, so I don't have to go and do all the science stuff.
He's done the distilling. Yes, You've done the distilling of your area of interest, and he's done. What's interesting though, also for Dave's chart, is he has some alignments that mean that he's going to talk about stuff that is uncomfortable for people to hear, and that's part of his journey. Just to go back a bit, I think Glyph is putting it up. Allegedly, Dave said he has got a whole lot of conversations from the Global Tour on his on that link. So that's really
he would have been watching the whole tour. So I assume you got the Dave Murphy half as well.
David says, there are some types of flat earthers who are convinced by one video or two, and those who have gone out and found out for themselves. I would say either way is okay, but perhaps doing some of that aligning with it in a way that's when you start to digest the information, because otherwise it's just a whole lot of information. For me, that was, I needed to embody it. I needed to, I know that's the feminine maybe, but I needed it to feel aligned for me.
What I think, if I may say, that the really, okay, so there's the maths part and the left brain part of flat earth, and the debunking, if you want to debunk the heliocentric nonsense. But for me, the really walking through the flat earth door and starting the journey of understanding our divinity within a created realm is so paramount, which is why I will say to my religious friends, my Christian friends or Muslim friends in the speaker's corner or some other setting, say that I think that this matters because it speaks to really us beginning to know thyself, know who we are, know where we are, and what this place, maybe not necessarily ever fully understand what this place is, but certainly have an insight into the divinity that we are encoded with. And only a flat earth, only an enclosed, electromagnetic, in my view, system begins to kind of offer that. Because I came from the globe and I know how dismembering that the heliocentric thing is. Or
detaching you from what's true, right?
So it's not just like, because we could be like, light touch globey, I know we live on a globe, but I don't know how any of that works and stuff like that. And you could take the same process with flat earth and say, well, I know it's obviously the water's level, that's common sense, right? But this is much more than the argument over the shape of this place. It is to do with the nature of who we are. Really, if we're ever to understand who we are, what we're kind of doing, we have to go through that door and go through it meaningfully, not just like paid lip service. Well, it's a flat earth bandwagon, I'm going to jump on that. That's not going to cut the mustard. I think in terms of us actually making it mean something, or once you go
I'm just, once you go flat, you never globe back.
Oh, we've had one or two strange people who flew out from America, like in 2016, 17, 18, right? All these like 3, 4, 5 people that flew out from America, and all of them all of a sudden decide that we're
not going to go there. So that's their path, and
sorry, I should get off that.
May they find their
new washing machines.
I think Festivus had said Trump is making things great again with YouTube. And then Sven said,
I have the Frankfurt video.
That was a lovely chat as well. The Frankfurt chat, very impromptu, and
that was the night they ambushed me. Like, I didn't know they were coming that night, and then I'm busy there on my own in Frankfurt. I'm on my own in Frankfurt. You guys are holding up the camper van, you and Zizi.
I have a sense I think in Frankfurt we had to do some fixings. We also did a mission in Frankfurt.
Yeah, so I remember this fairly well-known American kind of globe lover.
Cowboy outfit.
Is that right? Yeah.
Yes.
And he is kind of well-known in the social media space at that time. I forget his name now, but he came to find me. I know Dave had a few of, maybe it's the same guy, but his people find him in a few cities around Europe. Can you imagine what it would be like now? There's some people who are making an absolute fortune out of, trying to prop up this ridiculous globe thing. Right. Yeah. Still love you, man. Okay. Ranjan. All right. Those that watch the videos don't understand that you cannot debate the indoctrinated. Yeah, I can't be doing those debating things too well, because it is in my diary.
It's my diary.
Oh.
So he's saying that the link to the conversations was like his diary of the Globe Light Tour. So he made a diary of it, and that's
Awesome.
what you can see on that link.
Yeah. You have to do a lot of thinking to come to FE. I agree. I think that you should. Because really, if you're leaving, for me, that's why people go, I had to really, and most of us, I'm sure, had to really go back and look at the globe. I think it's different for the
feminine, if I'm honest. I think it's not that we aren't interested in that, but I don't need to know as much of the logical.
No, but the poison of the globe was designed to poison the feminine, and it was designed to poison the masculine.
Totally.
And so I think that whilst the needle of poison remains, then it's going to weaken the feminine, her power, which is to be the oracle, right? And
yes, but to trust your own intuition, or to remember it, or to reconnect to it. For me, the globe, flat Earth lie for me is limitation versus possibility, or limitation instead of expansion, or
insignificant versus significant.
Well, no, because the globe for me means that you are, you have to survive. The time's running out. It could all go bad. You're on a spinning ball.
Evolution.
You're the solid matter that hasn't got potential and possibility, and the list goes on. Whereas I am an infinite being that has so much possibility beyond the limitation of my mind, which is what the globe is, the limitation of the mind. And that's for me the big anchor that and as as above so below, or micro macro, I am that too. I am that potential, and so is this plane.
I was just having an interesting thought to myself there. Was if the feminine, and I don't disagree with this, earth and water, the feminine elements, and the masculine and the fire and the sky. It's interesting how, in my mind, I might be wrong, but in my mind, it is the feminine who's meant to be the interpreter of the sky. So that's the masculine, the feminine is interpreting the masculine, and maybe it's the masculine who's meant to interpret the earth. You see?
But can you see how they made? Can you see how they made the feminine's ability to be intuitive and be the oracle, and how they made that something crazy?
Yeah, that's why they drowned you guys.
And something dark, I have to say that right now, because I think that's something that the feminine is still having to heal from, and why there is a real mistrust in ourselves or in our field around the masculine, that isn't even ours. Well, it is, but that we've come here to heal. So.
Well, and you see, like Hillary Clinton trying to, become the masculine, and so that's it's more damaging, and I won't go off on a tangent now. We've run out of time, but I do think that. I do think that.
Well, we could end with Belle. Someone is saying, I think Glyph must have said somewhere, because Holistic Media said, Glyph, it's Belle. Here's the video for anyone who hasn't seen it. So maybe we can end with Belle singing that beautiful song as a little bit of a tonic for everyone.
Yeah.
What is the last comment? I did a talk on the Divine Feminine this week on my esoteric lounge. Listen to you. Nathan. Can we put the link for his esoteric lounge?
Okay.
Nathan, please let's chat, because we'd love to have you come on.
Yeah.
I'd love to have Festivus come on. Anybody else who feels like they want to. Oh, that was great. But I'm talking about the one at the end of the Global Eye.
Oh, that's with Lisa. Do you mean no? You don't mean with like Lisa and Alex when we met Alex in Spain that time?
Yeah, that wasn't the end of the Global Eye
No.
though.
And Bill wasn't around then.
No.
You mean that we went to that pub in Leicester Square? I remember that.
Yeah, I don't know if there was anyone.
And Jason still got, like they made him that yellow.
Yes, he said yes, and Stellium 7. So yes, it was Lisa and Alex singing. They're doing a duet. They're actually doing it in an indoor swimming pool that is at Howard George Stirrup, who was on the tour, who lives in Spain, in their indoor swimming pool.
You know what? Now I think about that, I actually encouraged that moment. I told her to sing.
I think it was a lovely, from what I remember anyway.
Yeah. I'm just still gloating about the Bell thing.
Yeah, great voice, very soulful voice. Yeah, Lisa's got a beautiful voice.
We were doing it on our day off.
Yes.
Were you, Sven? It's nice of you to let us know now. Is that where you went that night?
A much needed day off.
A much needed day
and
off.
A warm day. It was so beautiful to be.
Yeah, we've made it very clear to Jason that tours in future.
I apologize for anyone looking at my diary. I'm a little savage towards Lisa. I think, respectfully, those being on the. I think
we love Lisa, right? We do, and when we're in Glastonbury, we'll try and see her and stuff like that. But we know from being on tour with her that it's there's a hand holding required, which
there's a lot that she carries. Let's just leave it at that, right? There's a lot that she carries, and therefore it bleeds out into those around. But more importantly, when you're on the camper, I don't think this was necessarily seen. It's like being in a really intense, because you're moving so fast and you're so tired, and of course the worst of you is going to come out in those situations because it was so high pressured, right?
And I think also sometimes when you're in the high pressure situation, your compassion for someone in the team who is sort of not holding up their end enough, in your view, is going to cause ire, right? I totally kind of get that, but yes, if I was to reflect back on myself, I'll go, okay, I could have been a little bit more compassionate about this or that. People don't know why we didn't go to Paris. I will one day tell that story more fully. But,
I think what's more important is, it's a bit like I was saying earlier in terms of relationships. It's not about not having an argument with your partner or a friend or whatever, or even being a bit savage. It's like, if I can reflect back what was going on there for me and how can I use that as in terms of growth, then that's what's important personally. Yeah. But yes, I mean,
because Dave, you're like a father or like an elder in the community, So I guess we, I'm a few years behind you, but I think there is a need for us to. I'm not at all criticizing, but I'm glad we're in the conversation. But I think there is a need for us to learn that. I know when I visit Lisa, and I'm there for a few hours, I'm offering myself in a way that is compassionate and kind of like, let me just allow her to offload what she needs to offload, and then
But again, if we go back to the field, right? If you're a field and then you're in this small environment that then becomes one field, it is a lot. It is a lot.
You guys did a month.
It is a lot, and so it's.
And in Paris, that's what happened. In Paris, I said I think it's time that Lisa went off the van, right? That's what happened in Paris, and Jack basically said, if she goes, I go. And I needed a driver. So I said, all right, she stays then.
This will all have to go into a book one day. Maybe Dave, you and Dave can and Jason can put this all down in some sort of book. It would make a fascinating.
Well, yeah. What we need to do,
book.
what we need to do is be doing more touring, and then in time, the 2018 and 2019 activities and so on will become priceless.
I think that life and people, particularly when you're in intimate situations, and I don't necessarily mean romantically intimate, I mean when you're in close, intimate situations, become...
There was only 3 of them on the van. We had like bloody 8 by the time Sven and
they trigger us, and that I think that's actually what's meant to happen. We're meant to learn from each other.
There's a truth in that, isn't there? And that is, like, I've got 1 or 2 friends that maybe never had children or never got married or whatever, and they're like the single guy, and great. But I know that without the cauldron or the furnace of family or into, there's certain growth that is missed, and we're meant to be doing these things and learning these things, and I think like, it's interesting because I have my 24-year-old son with me most of the time now, and an 8-year-old son, and so through both of these portals I'm getting to continually learn mistakes maybe I made when Luke was 8. Hopefully going to be doing a little bit better this time around. And then, it's unusual, say, to be living close quarters with your 24-year-old son. Oftentimes they'll be on their own or on their way, so it provides me with opportunities for learning or not,
I think our children are incredible teachers. But I think everybody is. I think relationships are. I think, but often we miss those opportunities to see that there's something in it for us. But I was laughing, not at you, but Dave said, "You calling me an old git."
Oh, Dave, no, not really. No, not in front of Alison. No, you're. I'm sure. You're looking actually very well.
Yeah, you're looking very well.
I was thinking, I wonder if Alison's, cooking for him a little.
Well, no, I think she's evoking love. I think that's what that's what we're meant to do with each other, is evoke something. And it can be evoking, a childhood wound, but we evoke love. We don't give or take it. It's not something that you can give to someone then take away, or vice versa. We're evoking it in each other. But he also says, I think it would have been such great fun to have been on the bus with you guys and Adam. Well, that's why you got to repeat it.
And Adam's a quokka. He's a funny guy.
Yeah.
So he's good value.
Yes.
I'll be honest. So he ripped his hand, didn't he? And it was later he ripped his hand on his way up in that place we met Essa. We met the European Space Agency.
Adam's time on the thing is a whole book on its own.
We were in that tiny little principality in the top of the mountains. San
Marino.
And this ESSA umbrella comes up the hill. I'm like, oh, hello, that's the European Space Agency umbrella. What? Let's have a chat. And they were ESSA staff. And I remember saying to the lady, so what's your best evidence that the Earth is spinning? She thought for a moment. The sunrise. That's not very good. And when they left after a while, she said, you guys are dangerous. You should be allowed out.
Well, and Dave said Andy got arrested. That's why I said Adam should have his own separate book.
Yes. And he got arrested. Oh, man. And you know what? Now I think about it, like, I had a Flat Earth T-shirt that I didn't put on that morning because as we arrived at the Coliseum, it like all happened very quickly. And I found myself like in just a regular T-shirt, and I'm thinking, because the shots of Adam were like a bit of a highlight for the tour, so I had this Flat Earth T-shirt to wear, and I wasn't wearing my Flat Earth T-shirt.
Well, you have to do it again
with Dave.
You'll have to have team T-shirts.
Yeah,
Flat Earth team T-shirts this time.
Mm-hmm. I wonder if Alison's doing any of the activism yet, or he's Anyway, we'll have to find all of that out another
Yeah,
time.
we will do. It's exciting stuff. We'll be back here next week. Yes.
Yeah, well, not in this house, but we will be. Next Friday. Yeah,
next Friday. Thank you for
Thanks for the
being
thumbs
here.
up. Thanks for being here.
It's so lovely to have you all in our space.
Yeah.
And hopefully
even
we can
the
have
old guy. Dave.
Hopefully we can have Dave and Glyph and Glyph if he wants, but Dave and Nathan come and do some.
Yeah, I'll let
sharing.
you guys know about the men's groupie thing that I want to, just gathering a couple of hours once a month for now and just see how it's useful.
And the same goes for the women's group. So, but I would appreciate some sort of feedback to say, this would be something that I'd be interested in.
Yeah. Hey, Mojo, you made it just in time. I'm working on it. But gently, yeah. Obviously, it's. With Andrea, I was 2 years, pretty much, on that, and then it was like it was actually a guy who Dave, you've been on Bro Sanchez's channel, and he put a presentation together on. No, it wasn't Bro Sanchez. It was Martin Kenny. Martin Kenny's Cosmic Egg.
Obviously, I'd been listening to it anyway, and Dave used to fall asleep with black videos playing, so I think I was being brainwashed. Anyway.
Yeah.
But I think, everybody's on their own journey, and to just be gentle and let them do it in their own time.
Have a truthful and wonder-filled weekend, everyone. Truth above all. Stay true. Much love to you. That wasn't my words. That was Glyph. Beautiful words, Greg.
Yeah.
I couldn't have said it better myself. Thanks again for all the thumbs up, all the support. Cheers,
and Hippie for putting all the links.
You're a star, and I'm
really
glad
appreciate it.
Getting up out of your sick bed and all that.
By the way, Ben asked when we'll be. I think he was asking us when we'll be in Bournemouth. We haven't got any plans at this point, have we?
No. Our Christmas plans got turned upside down, but at the moment we don't have any plans to be there. Cheers, Dave. Thanks for stopping by, Albert Billy.